We're discussing a case in British Columbia challenging that province's vaccine passport policy, which is still in place in British Columbia. It's a case that I'm involved with at the CCF, and we're discussing it with lawyer Geoffrey Trotter, who's representing us. Now, Geoffrey, the CCF brought this application with a few individuals. It's not just as an organization. There's a few individuals who are directly impacted. And I want to talk about their stories, what the impact of the vaccine passport has been on them. Let's start with the applicant named Erica. What is her story?
So Erica was 17 when she got her first dose last May. She's a lifelong competitive swimmer and a swim coach. She's received all her regular vaccinations. But unfortunately, she was one of those rare people for whom the COVID vaccine caused pericarditis. So that's heart inflammation. It's required hospitalization, lengthy period off work. She's actually had relapses of the pericarditis from subsequent illness after it was triggered initially by the COVID vaccine. Now, pericarditis is on the approved government list, but again, because of this activity by activity restriction, it's really an illusory exemption for a 17-year-old who's trying to remain engaged with her friends and her community.
And it's just insane to me that she wasn't able to get an exemption when it's one of the most clear-cut cases. There's another example to me in this case, a woman named Sharon. What can you tell us about Sharon's story?
So Sharon works in administration in a public school here in the Lower Mainland. She's received all her regular vaccines, and she received her first dose of COVID vaccine in May 2021 with everyone else. But unfortunately, she developed a severe neurological condition called brachial neuritis. It's inflammation of the nerves, in her case, to her right arm, which results in excruciating pain and close to paralysis. She became pregnant soon after developing the condition, and her doctors were not able to assure her that neither she nor her baby would be harmed if she had another dose and had further nerve damage. But despite all this, public health still told her that she ought to get it. But she decided she wasn't willing to put herself and her baby in harm's way in that way. And so, she's now had her baby just recently, but she can't go to a mom baby class at her local community center. She cannot go to a restaurant, with her other new mom friends. But because brachial neuritis is not on the PHO's list, she's just at a luck. She can't even apply.
So the issue is that brachial neuritis is a rare side effect, but it's an acknowledged side effect. And Sharon's doctors, what have they said about the relationship between that condition and the vaccine that she got?
Yeah, based on the timing and the fact that there's no other apparent cause of the brachial neuritis and no history in the family, they think that the most likely cause is the vaccine.
Now, Sharon's not an anti-vaxxer. Obviously, she went out and got vaccinated. I also support vaccination, but we also have to acknowledge that rare adverse reactions do exist, and they appear to have happened in this place. And it seems like this bizarre form of cruelty that the government would deny access to public spaces to a new mother who's also newly disabled. But that's not even the end of it. There's another third applicant in this case. Her name is Veronica. And what can you tell us about her?
So Veronica was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. So spina bifida means that her spinal cord, the main nerve, was not contained within the vertebrae of her spinal column. So it was actually kind of spilling out elsewhere in her body. She's had 15 surgeries over the course of her life, including one at 1 day old to put the spinal column back inside her vertebrae. She has fluid buildup in her brain that has to be drained. And because of her complex and overlapping disabilities, she concluded, based on that and other challenges she's had with medication that's been prescribed for her underlying conditions, and the lack of testing of the COVID vaccine on people like her, that she was not comfortable running the risk that she would have a reaction that just hasn't been discovered yet. Now, of course, her doctor was afraid to even write a letter in support of her based on the government's closed list and what the doctor's regulator had said. Now, in her case, apart from all of the other exclusions that anyone who can't get an exemption suffers, she's actually medically impacted too. The main type of therapy, physical therapy that Veronica uses is swim therapy. It takes the pressure off of her spinal column. She's got lots of physical challenges that go with her underlying nerve condition, but she's not allowed to go to her pool anymore since the orders were tightened up here in BC in December with Omicron. So she's not able to have her swim therapy. She's heavily reliant on medication now, and she's going downhill physically.
Wow, the government has said that these are all discretionary activities that are restricted, but in Veronica's case, it sounds like something that is quite necessary for her to have access to this pool in order to manage her disability. We've got to go to commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about the legal issues in this case.